2:46 p.m., June 18. Watch this black Toyota Corolla. Did you see that? Let's bring it back. Slowly. Focus on this car. The driver spots the pothole and tries to swing away. But when the back tire is caught, this driver swerves, almost hitting this pedestrian before coming to a stop. The car immediately behind also brakes up. The disconnected tire still running along like a prison escapee, catching the attention of this man, all recorded by a dashboard camera, but could easily pass for a scene in a high-drama action movie. How about a movie by one of these names? Save the Last Tire, Pride and Pothole Prejudice, The Pothole of Oz. No, we didn't make those up. Titles like those dominated Jamaican Twitter in December 2017. Here's how it all started. December 15, Empress Yole. Fully convinced Jamaican potholes have regular meetings, union representatives, WhatsApp groups, CUG phones. Them clearly plan for we, the poor motorists.
As you dodge one, him brethren grab you.
And with 140 retweets and 149 likes, the hashtag Jamaican Pothole Movies was born.
I had just successfully managed to navigate one pothole. I knew it was there, missed it. Feel good, feel nice within yourself. I don't think I reached 10 meters before I dropped properly in another one that I didn't know was even there. That one formed overnight, as potholes in Jamaica tend to do.
Jamaica is often described as paradise. But driving through our towns and the countryside, the phrase pothole paradise is more likely to come to mind. Just ask Nick, a taxi operator who plies the Irwin to Tucker route in St. James.
Every week we have to have mechanic. Every week.
When he spoke with me, Nick had just spent $52,000 on repairs.
Rocking, tire rodding, ball joint, all of the bushing them have to change out underneath the front. He carry them can't ride good on the road.
Nick's bite is common among public transport operators. Nearby St. James is St. Elizabeth, where in June, taxi operators protested. This pothole had already destroyed the tires of several unsuspecting motorists.
I'm a car bus man, I try to make and I treat I get bus. I don't go one spare in half. So bus have a park about there.
Yesterday, one Mark 2 bus 2 tire there.
Moving from west to central Jamaica, we come up on the road in southwestern Clarendon, Parnassus to be exact. Different community, same complaint.
Every morning I have to reach work 6:30. When me leave my house, come out of my house like say 5:45. All when 10 minutes to 7, me still there my gate, cause all I taxi them I drive round the bush there, so and if me no give them my number and call them now come pick me up.
You cannot do a road and within less than 5-year road mash up all together like you never fix none at all.
Worst road in Jamaica.
Well, I don't think we can describe this road. It's another road. It's a one track. Everybody late for work. People late for school. It's a disgrace.
Portland.
Another pothole, a trench. The two of them big and deep. There's no way they could have been pothole. Front end, oh Jesus. In a serve, not even like snowball in that end.
St. Thomas. St. Catherine. Same story. Pothole-plagued roads are not new in Jamaica. The Gleaner Archives takes us down memory lane.
Pothole, and the man talk about you. You are born
national problem. But this one is the national anthem.
And yet, the country spends billions on road construction and repairs. Between 2009 and 2014, the National Works Agency alone spent $16.9 billion to rehabilitate the roads. The NWA is responsible for maintaining over 5,000 kilometers of roads island-wide, what we call the main roads. But there are two other agencies that also repair roads. The 13 municipal corporations combined are in control of a further 10,000 kilometers of parochial roads. These include roads through many residential developments, and the Ministry of Agriculture is in charge of about 4,000 kilometers of rural farm roads. This tripartite division of responsibility creates its own problems, as we learn later. But the average motorist playing dandy-shandy with the potholes really doesn't care who's responsible for roads like this. This pothole here in Parnassus, Clarendon is 9 feet long and 4 feet 5 inches wide. Beside it and behind it, as you can see, more potholes. Why are our roads like this? Does anyone benefit, and if so, who? And what can we do about it? Hello and welcome to Pothole Paradise.
Driving on Jamaican roads is a sport in of itself. I think it's probably one of the most dangerous sports in the world. When you're not dodging pothole, poor road conditions, you have taximan, bus driver, other frustrated harbour drivers to deal with. I mean, it's a hazard. Every day you get up, you feel nice within yourself, put on your clothes, ready to tackle the day. But before you can tackle the day, you have to tackle the roads, and that alone mess up your whole day.
When we checked TVJ's archives, we found that in just 4 years, 2013 to 2016, there were 42 road protest stories, one almost every single month. The newsroom does not cover every demonstration, so the actual number may very well be much higher.
From the moment you hit the road, you get a pothole. You can't get away from them.
Johnny McGregor is the CEO of MacTech Auto. When we visited his garage, it was full.
Most of these cars you see around here now is really potholes. You know, a car dropping a pothole cause all kind of damages. We're talking about chopped tires. We're talking about ball joint tear off or, dislodged ball joint, rocking, tie rod ends. There's a lot of suspension parts that got damaged whenever, you're dropping a pothole.
How common is that?
That's an everyday thing.
This is the invoice for a Subaru sedan brought in with front-end damage.
And that Subaru, the right front suspension broken, right? And caused it almost about $130,000. We're talking about a tire, one racking, and a suspension.
For a car with cheaper parts, the cost may be half as much. But there are people and companies that benefit from bad roads. Archibald, for example, works at a tire shop. He knows the ins and outs of the industry. He can even predict when there will be a spike in business.
Like now, like a dry time, when you can see on our drive, but you see once rain fall, all them pothole around and tasties around there, so you know so when I go drop into that and when I go chop all two tires and just bring the road can give a set speed. You get what I say?
How bad the tire them damage sometime?
Yo, sometimes it just have a one chop. See? We have to show you, but you see the one chop now, you can vulcanize that. But when you have a double chop, like it going out hard and the chop at the top and the bottom, that's right now. Sometimes we just write it off and send it to a graveyard.
Well, here's the graveyard. And as you can see, tires are piled sky high. After repairing or replacing tires and spending upwards of $60,000 on repairs, vehicles are likely to need balancing and alignment. Income companies like mixed wheel alignment.
Yeah, man, quite frequent. Find tires that are damaged from pothole, whether it have that thing that they call a baby, or that bulge protruding at the side of the tires, are bent or broken rims, and you replace the rims them or straighten them.
Costs vary. Straightening a damaged rim can start as low as $5,000, but the cost to replace a tire will depend on size and brand.
You can spend from 4-6 right to 20,000, 14,000, 13,000. Most of the time you may want to change 2 of the tires. The best case scenario, 4 tires. Yeah, and one of the main culprit to destroy the tires in Jamaica is the potholes.
Business is good.
It's a business. Patient gets sick, doctor, and people commit crimes or transfer land and the law you have to. So, I mean, everything, there's something to complement it.
So, with tire replacement, balancing and aligning, and mechanical repairs, a single pothole can cost a motorist anywhere from several thousand to over $100,000. We'll dig into just why potholes and bad roads are so prevalent in Jamaica.
This is the problem that plague the nation. Pothole, people know from on a run from pothole.
Even the patching them, notice some higher than the surface and all of them things. Them things they lick out your front end same way.
There's no simple explanation for Jamaica's bad roads, but local experts agree on 4 broad shortcomings: shoddy work and materials, insufficient oversight, lack of maintenance, and poor drainage. A 5th problem that is well documented is political interference.
We keep seeing the same holes in the same locations over and over again. You just fixed a road last week. Next month you're back on the road again? How that makes sense?
Them if I want see we strive, so them set all bad road in a wheel life.
I was driving along recently. A secondary road which takes a lot of traffic was being repaired, and it had a number of different types of failures. And one of the failures, as in most roads in Jamaica, was a recurrence of potholes.
Dr. Wayne Reed is the director of Gentech Consultants. He's a structural and civil engineer and former director of the National Road Operating and Constructing Company, NROC.
Rain had just finished falling, and one thing you ought not to be doing is repairing roads or constructing roads when the place is wet, because you don't get the compaction that you require to get the strength that you need. And this man was walking along with his shovel, taking out some wet marley limestone out of a front-end loader, putting it onto the road and using the back of the shovel to compact it.
What's the problem with that?
There's nothing right about it. Everything was wrong.
In fact, this is what we saw on Walker's Avenue near Lyndhurst Road in East Central St. Andrew in May. This is wet marl. It was laid here today, Tuesday, May 1. Now, it has been raining since yesterday, Monday, April 30. Now, it's actions like these that Dr. Reed detests. Laying marl on the road during a period when it is raining, because what inevitably happens is that the marl gets wet and is easily susceptible to degradation. Even without rain, marley limestone is actually not the best material to use, and yet we use it a lot. Dr. Carlton Hay is a geotechnical and materials engineer and university lecturer.
Marl has a lot of fine materials in it, and those fine sometimes are what you call plastic material, and those materials are very susceptible to moisture. And you'll find that when you repair these roads with what you call whole asphalt, these asphalt will crack, and the water will get back into those fines and create the pothole again.
So, what should we use?
Oh, the gravel is much better. The gravel is much better. It is, for one thing, it is consistent. Once you talk about stone, it has a certain density and its characteristics are consistent.
So why then is marl used the most?
Because marl is cheaper and marl is more prevalent throughout the country. Anywhere you go in Jamaica, you can find marley limestone quarries.
Take a look at this area of road on Chisholm Avenue in St. Andrew. The tar seems to be melting. It was patched recently. And here in Clarendon, along Sevens Road near Maypen, a part of the road has sunk. Going across the Papi in St. Andrew, well, this pothole is 31 feet long and 9 feet wide. I know this because I measured it. It can accommodate a 6-foot-tall person 5 times over. In many instances, insufficient compaction makes the road deteriorate faster. Compaction is the process of mechanically increasing the density of soil through the expulsion of air. Here's how it works. Good soil compaction increases the load-bearing capacity so the road can manage bigger vehicles more easily. It also provides stability and reduces water seepage, swelling, and contraction. On the other hand, bad soil compaction may breed potholes.
If it's not properly compacted, then what you have is a potential soft spot relative to the rest of the road around it. Trucks, cars, whatever it is passing on the road, the load from the tires hitting that spot would create further compaction. It could possibly then lead to a break in the asphaltic concrete. Water would get down inside of it, soften the rest of the mall, and we're back into another pothole.
We came across NWA workmen on Queens Avenue in Richmond Park, St. Andrew.
You can see the marks of the tire of the truck inside of it, the uneven compaction that you're seeing down there, which gives you the impression that it is not, first of all, evenly compacted and not fully compacted. And then when you come across to here now and you see this, the size of something like that inside of it, then that is way too large to be in any sort of road construction, but especially at the surface.
And what are some of the immediate problems that we have? So like right here, that's pretty much soft. That my foot can step and I can almost
you feel it.
and then the size of this one. What are some of the immediate problems with it?
Well, what can happen with something like this here now is that because it is soft and it is going to be covered over, then soon with the vehicles coming through, heavy vehicles, and come inside there, they're going to compact it, and soon you get the compaction, and then with the edges here, it's going to feather away because it's thin, and therefore it's going to crack, and soon the water will get back inside of it, and you're back into pothole business.
This is a screenshot of a heart-shaped pothole on Paddington Terrace in Kingston. It demonstrates yet another cause of road failure: insufficient priming. This happens when a new layer of asphalt is laid on top of an existing layer, but the two haven't bonded enough.
It seems that there was no bonding between the two layers. So in terms of how it was placed, maybe there was not sufficient priming, and that is something that is not always done. When you have a layer of asphalt and you decide to overlay, you must always tack coat or prime.
What do you mean by that? Explain the whole issue of priming.
There is a bitumen cutback asphalt that is used to spray it onto the road, so you can have continuity from one layer to the next layer.
This is the spray Dr. Hayes is talking about. It's a bonding agent called bituminous surface treatment, BST for short, or COLAS. Applying this treatment binds the old layer of asphalt to the new layer.
If you don't do that, it means there is no penetration of the bitumen and the asphalt material into your road, your base structure. And what you'll find, you'll have a slippage surface, where if water gets into that surface from some cracks in your asphalt, then it's easily damaged. And you would be amazed to see what a very fine crack can do over time.
The logic is straightforward. If the asphalt layers do not bond properly, with persistent rain and soaking, breakaways are inevitable.
Once you have a small crack, that water gets into the crack and gets to your base. When it gets to your base, the wheel load passes over it. That pressure from the wheel load causes something what you call pumping. And the fine material that's in your base course is removed. And that goes on, and that process continues until you have a major crack.
Do you remember when Yolanda Giles Levy said this earlier?
We keep seeing the same holes in the same locations over and over again. You just fixed a road last week. Next month you're back on the road again? How that makes sense?
Most of the time when you notice a crack occurring in the same location is because water is ponding in that area, and going and fixing the patch itself doesn't necessarily prevent it from occurring, because water will pond in that same area unless you change the elevation and allow the water to drain away from that particular area.
What happens too often is that we use the same method of fixing for different types of failures, and therefore the failure is repeated, because the problem that was basic and inherent has not been solved. We're putting a plaster on gangrene.
Continuous traffic on the roads and the aging of the asphalt will cause roads to fracture over time. That's natural. But sometimes the layers of asphalt being applied in road repairs are just not thick enough.
The thinness of asphalt that we're using on most of our roads is not sufficient by itself to sustain, one, the amount of water that passes, and the wheel load itself.
This may lead to what is known as rutting.
Rutting means when the wheel passes over a particular section of the road. Because it doesn't necessarily, the pavement structure was not designed properly to carry the load or to prevent the load from reaching the subgrade material in a way that it will cause depression. So this depression where the wheel actually passes is what we call rutting. And that is one of the major problems we have, because a lot of times we really don't design for the type of loading that our vehicle or truck loads are carrying.
One of the things that you want to have is a consistent depth of both the asphalted concrete and of the layers of base course, whether it's marly limestone or gravel below it. At the edges of some of the edges that we saw on this road, it is thin. It has started to feather out. So again, and then there is no curb, so that the thickness varies, and in some cases is very thin, so that any tire, again, loads from cars or trucks getting on that will crack it very easily. Water gets down inside of it, and you start to get potholes being formed at the edge of the road.
But the head of the NWA, E.G. Hunter, speaking before Parliament's Public Accounts Committee in January 2018, said most major road rehabilitation projects are done well.
Most of the contentious issues, Chairman, have to do with our small works, our patching, and our maintenance, as distinct from projects. Our projects have a certain apparatus that takes care of issues. And if you look at all the big projects that we have done, there's very little issue with quality.
So why then is there so much substandard work on smaller projects? A December 2015 performance audit of the National Works Agency, done by Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis, may hold the answer. She found that the quality management systems at the NWA need improvement. The International Organization for Standardization, ISO, provides world-class specifications to ensure quality, safety, and efficiency. The ISO is externally driven, independent, and forces compliance with best practices. The NWA began the process of becoming ISO certified, but abandoned that process in October 2006. The Works Agency now uses a total quality management framework system, which is internally driven.
We're not imposing that it should be ISO or another acceptable independent quality management system, but that we do not believe that it should be arbitrary that a public interest entity determine whether they should adopt an international standard or not in the interest of the public.
The Auditor General requested the total quality management framework used by the NWA, but she did not receive it. Jeanette Calder heads the Jamaica Accountability Meter portal, JAMP, a government watchdog portal.
So in 2015, there are some breaches, there are some inadequacies in the NAA's project management. 3 years later, it's actually coming before the government's chief oversight committee of parliament. Now in the 3 years, what was happening?
Bear in mind that NWA head E.G. Hunter told the Public Accounts Committee in January that the NWA agrees that there is a need for independent monitoring and assessment.
We have accepted the recommendation of the Auditor General Department that it is good.
Well, I sat in the PAC on January the 16th to listen to what the CEO of the NAA had to say. And one of the main concerns of the Auditor General had to do with quality control. There is no external body independent of the NAA that is ensuring that their quality control management systems are in place and are being utilized. In other words, the NAA cannot police itself. In the same way that the police could not police itself and we got Indicom, there has to be an independent person in place.
Another concern in relation to external standards is the US-developed ASH2 standards for road design and construction to which Jamaica subscribes. But Dr. Wayne Reed says these standards are often ignored.
With those standards come various testing requirements. One of the things that we don't do is those tests.
Another significant finding of the Auditor General was that the NWA did not have a mechanism to independently verify the material tests conducted by labs. The NWA's own records revealed that 36 subcontractors submitted inauthentic test results for contracts amounting to $813 million.
Based on that incident, we have, in discussion with the Auditor General, enhanced our protocols regarding receipt of lab results from private labs.
But shoddy workmanship and the use of substandard materials may be deliberate. Jamaica's 2013 National Security Policy noted that the direction of public works contracts into the hands of political affiliates has been particularly damaging, as this has resulted in unnecessarily expensive or poor quality infrastructure. For example, a contract to build a road might provide an opportunity to reward political affiliates. Shoddy construction would ensure that the road surface would crumble, which would then allow the issuing of another contract to resurface the road. This from a government entity, the very government building the shoddy roads.
Very often, contracts for road repairs, for patching, are given out in return for contributions to political parties, what the policy describes as political corruption, so that the persons who are getting the facility and who are being paid to repair our roads are not necessarily, nor all the time, persons with the necessary qualifications, experience, and ability to do the job. And that security policy points out that this is one of the main reasons why we have one of the densest, but also one of the worst road networks in the world.
Professor Trevor Monroe is the Executive Director of National Integrity Action, an anti-corruption watchdog organization. The quality of roads in Jamaica ranks 79th out of 137 countries, according to the latest Global Competitiveness Report.
Despite billions of dollars in highways and NWA work in various parts of the country. That's not acceptable, and that's really our general concern. Accountability, transparency, value for money, and we're not getting that, as the Auditor General pointed out in her report.
Jamaica also ranks 79th of 137 countries with favoritism in decisions of government officials, with the data pointing to an upward trend in that area. The Global Competitiveness Report guides potential international investors. Stephen Shaw is Manager of Communication and Customer Service at the NWA. Is there political interference in how roadworks are handed out sometimes, or how contracts are awarded, Mr. Shaw?
That question should be elevated to
the level of the political directorate.
Well, we tried to do just that, but received no response from the Office of the Prime Minister to several requests for an interview with Everald Warmington, the State Minister responsible for works. The second problematic area of road construction and repair in Jamaica is insufficient oversight.
When the roads are being fixed, and this is something that I'm telling you about now, it's not something I'm guessing about. You don't have the level of supervision when the works are being done.
The NWA says it assigns a project manager to each contract it awards.
The project manager is required to exercise the diligence to be on site because there is an information requirement. The contractor has to say to the project manager, based on the schedule, that between the 5th of January and the 10th of January we'll be pouring concrete. The project manager then knows that he has to be there to see and so on and so forth. Obviously, where there's a weakness in the system is where a project manager has multiple sites and you get into issues, well, he wasn't there when that was done and so on and so forth. And we recognize internally that that is sometimes a problem. The question is, why don't you have more project managers? Well, we have, but that's another thing.
There was a time when the NWA used to utilize a lot of local consultants and consultant teams to monitor. I think they have gone away with that. I think maybe for economics purpose, and they are relying solely on the people that they have. And to be honest, the NWA just doesn't have enough people for the amount and volume of roads that are being repaired and patched.
Let's go back to the 2013 National Security Policy for Jamaica. The document refers to chronic problems with bad construction and poor maintenance, in part due to the practice of preferentially assigning contracts to favored contractors with inadequate oversight. There is also the supervision of entities that cause road damage. Apart from the inconvenience to motorists because of the timing, there are concerns about the state in which roads are left after works done by telecoms companies and utility companies like the National Water Commission, as you can see behind me.
They do an insufficient and sometimes inadequate job when they are putting in their cables or repairing their cables and conduits. And that is totally inadequate from their point of view, because they have a contract, so to speak, to put in the cable and to restore the road to a good condition.
The municipal corporations are supposed to monitor the repair of roads dug up by utility companies.
A lot of it comes down straight to the supervision of the work being done and ensuring so that municipal corporation, whether in Kingston or elsewhere, has a responsibility to go there to check to make sure that it's being done properly. And if it is not being done properly, to call them to task.
Without a doubt, we have had issues where utilities are concerned. We have actually engaged one of the utility companies in this vein, the National Water Commission, and we have actually signed an agreement ourselves, the Water Commission, and I know certainly in Kingston, the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, where reinstatement works are to be carried out. Other entities, we just have to get them on board.
Which brings us to point 3, maintenance.
If you have a pothole here, it do not maintain until it get bigger. If them did come few days after and fill it up, no problem, but it get bigger and bigger till more, so the maintenance not so good.
Maintenance is another issue. How do we get funding for the maintenance of our roads? Generally, or traditionally, we get funding through the Road Maintenance Fund. We get somewhere in the region of $1.2, $1.3 billion for maintenance activities. Through the Capital A, the normal budgetary process, we may get another $300–400, $500 million or so. Let us say you get that. You go up to, say, 1.8, 1.7, $1.8 billion. The demand
for regular maintenance on an annual basis is anywhere between $5 and $6 billion. So from the get-go, you recognize that we have a shortfall.
The lack of maintenance affects everyone. Politicians.
My wife wanted to accompany me because we used to go out to Leicester when I was teaching at the university, and we used to take our children there in the 80s. And we enjoyed the University Beach Leicester. But I have to tell you, on the way she says, really, the roads are awful.
The police.
It's difficult for us to police. The last time I came here, I spoke about places like Farm Effortville, how large it is. The road, there's no road there. Those are river track, riverbed that we have to go in.
Celebrities.
You need a four-wheel drive in Jamaica?
We have the worst roads.
Tessanne gets the four-wheel drive for Jamaica.
Bye.
And the most vulnerable of all, children who will never have an international stage to share their suffering.
A cycling club mentor a group of children here in riding. And the children look forward to riding every weekend. For the past year or so, the children have not ridden because although they wear safety helmets and sometimes knee pads, the volume and at which the bicycles go into disrepair and the spills that take place amongst our children from time to time compromises their safety.
What do you mean by spills?
There are times as they ride can't avoid the potholes, and sometimes they misjudge the potholes and bicycles get out of control and throw them on the ground.
Leroy Anderson is head of the National Children's Home in St. Andrew. When we visited in July, the institution's bus was damaged. Taxis refused to go to the home whenever it rains.
It's a raggy road. The road is so rough. A raggy road.
Road maintenance is not a 1 in a 5 year business or even once a year. No, road maintenance is ongoing. You can notice, for example, if you look at the east-west corridor, you will see that they are out there literally every day patrolling. And the patrolling is not just to see if somebody has cut the fence. It's to see the condition of the road. And then every now and again you see them cordon off a part of the road and do some work on it. It's an ongoing problem because if you solve the problem and do it early, then it is a lot cheaper.
With that, we'll drive on to the last leg of our journey.
The road is so tough. Raggy road. Road is so rough. Raggy road.
Is drainage. Come on to like the drainage system now when you look on some of the gully.
Talk about the drainage system because even how some of the people that they get to sweep the road, I see with my own eye where them throw the rubbish into the gully.
Drains are important not just to prevent flooding, but ponding, which damages the pavement structure and often leads to road failure. Jamaica is subject to torrential downpours during the rainy seasons.
You therefore need to have proper drainage channels wherever you are constructing roads, because the force of that water, either across the road, along the road, or at the edges of the road, will cause damage if it is not controlled. So in the construction of roads in Jamaica, drainage, the control of stormwater is paramount.
We do have a drainage plan for sections of the island, Kingston being among them. What we seek to do is where we are doing major roadworks, surgical works, the drainage system is always improved. And so you would have seen this along Barbican Road, you will see this along Constant Spring Road, you are going to see it along Hagley Park Road, you have seen it along Marcus Garvey Drive, you would have seen some of it along the Mandela Highway.
But some of our drainage problems stem from communities.
The community themselves, they have to take responsibility too, because they throw trashes and all kind of things into these drains.
While there are undeniable problems at the national level, community members can make the job of road maintenance harder. Bad garbage disposal habits, citizen apathy.
I am not convinced that the citizens are engaging sufficiently, but I also believe that part of it is that they're not sufficiently informed. I'm guilty of that. I have seen contractors come to patch my road, Giovanni, and this is the pothole, and the patch is sitting in the middle of the pothole. The first shower of rain, and what happens? The material is gone. But what did I do about it? So I believe that the citizen is complicit, I believe that the politician is complicit, and I believe that the contractors are complicit.
And Dr. Carlton Hay believes that local universities can do more.
We have an engineering department here at the University of the West Indies. And in fact, the more people that we graduate that we teach and expose them the right way to do things, and maybe a sensitization program in the communities for them to look out. Because as I say, we might be able to put all the people in place, the qualified people, but if the people in the community know what the right way to do things, they can see what is being done and they can report what not to do or what is being done which is not acceptable.
Back at the national level, remember earlier we mentioned the tripartite responsibility for roads in Jamaica? Main roads, the responsibility of the National Works Agency. Parochial roads, the responsibility of the municipal corporations. Farm roads falling under the Ministry of Agriculture. But there are still other roads. This creates a peculiar problem.
There are thousands of kilometers of roads that nobody owns. Yeah. So when you drop into your friendly neighborhood pothole, Chairman, chances are, statistically, chances are it's not an NWA pothole.
Dr. Wayne Reed believes that Jamaica's road management needs reorganization.
Properly run central authority with the managers, equipment and personnel distributed throughout the country. It was done on a parish basis, whatever basis they want to use.
Dr. Hay is also suggesting a different approach to road repair.
We need to focus not just on the quantity but the quality. So instead of trying to fix 10 kilometers of road, fix 5 kilometers and fix it properly. Because in the eyes of the people who are in charge, the quantity is more important because it paints a better picture.
Yet another suggestion, different materials for building roads.
Concrete roads last much longer than asphalt roads. And I'm talking to probably 4 or 5 times longer than concrete road. Concrete roads will get you to last at least 30 years, while a good asphalt road will last about 7 years, but a lot of asphalt roads will last until the next rainy season, let's be honest in some cases.
Peter Donkersloot is the general manager of the Caribbean Cement Company. But what about the maintenance costs?
If you do things once the right way, you spend much less money in maintenance. You have a larger investment initially, not that much, but then under a life cycle, it's much cheaper than an asphalt road.
Carib Cement obviously has a vested interest in promoting concrete roads, but it's an idea that has also been broached by Dr. Hay. He says while concrete may be expensive initially, in the long run, it is cheaper and better.
Well, the cement hardens with the material. It creates a stronger, stiffer layer than your average material.
Mr. Donkersloot argues that concrete has other advantages.
A concrete road requires 3% less gas to travel over it than an asphalt road. And this is not me saying it. There's research from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology that can tell you a little bit more. A concrete road, concrete reflects light. Asphalt absorbs light. That means a concrete road will be cooler than an asphalt surface. And cooler, I'm meaning about 16 degrees Celsius cooler. So imagine, there's also research that shows you that a total city built an asphalt road and a total city than the concrete one will be between 1 and 2 degrees cooler. And when you're talking about global warming, that's a significant difference. Another one, for example, going back to the fact that concrete reflects light, is that in a concrete road, you require less lighting, about 30% less street lights to get the same illumination in a concrete road than in an asphalt road.
The issue was also raised at Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee on January 24. NWA head E.G. Hunter pointed out that concrete roads have been laid in a few locations. But Mr. Hunter said that concrete can't be used for patching. It has to be used for new roads.
3 years ago, we did a section of Winward Road in front of the cement company with cement, with concrete, and that has worked fairly well. There's concrete in Fern Gully and a couple other places.
What is not clear is what the ratio of concrete to asphalt roads will be and why.
3 years ago, instructions were given by the government that when we're doing works of a certain size, then in the request for bids, the contractor should be given the option of making a cement portion. Yeah. So yeah, it's something that we will. But the research has already been done, and it's a settled matter in terms of utilization.
Again, we made several requests for an interview with the State Minister responsible for works, Everald Warmington. We got no reply. So, we know what the problems are. We know what causes them. And the experts have given us the solutions. Currently, there are several major road rehabilitation projects underway in the corporate area, along the Mandela Highway, Overhead Road in 3 miles, Hagley Park Road, and Constant Spring Road. Work is also taking place along the Junction Road in St. Mary. When will we see consistently high-quality work on all our roads? And when will Jamaica no longer be a pothole paradise? Thanks for traveling with us this evening. I'm Giovanni Denton.